everybody, and welcome back to the San Diego Gundam Podcast. This is we've taken some time away from doing all this podcast stuff and video editing stuff to spend time with our families and our loved ones. Walter, how's your holiday? How's your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving wasn't actually a Thanksgiving per se.
Oh, really?
I spent most of my day in a bank to open up a bank account and then at Carl's Jr.
Okay. So kind of sounds about just as exciting as our Thanksgiving over here. So, but,
did you gain a few inches on the waist though?
No, actually, we cooked actually a lot of vegetables this year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we had no turkey. We had a Korean barbecue, and so we were able to kind of portion ourselves out a little bit. We had a lot more vegetables this year, and obviously, since I was in charge of the vegetables, I was also in charge of eating the vegetables. So, but it did last us quite a bit of time. Not gonna lie, it lasted us. For cooking wise, it took us maybe about 4 or 5 hours to cook everything, and then it lasted us a fair amount of meals, probably about like 4 days worth. So
nice.
Yeah. But this is a pretty bad segue. But this week's topic, Walter and I are going to tackle third-party kits. So, Walter, what are your initial opinions of third-party kits?
So, third-party kits have their place. They kind of give fans the view of what a kit could be if Bandai ever made it. But then there's also a stigma attached to, well, but what's it actually like? Because it's coming from a vendor we know nothing about. How do they actually make it? What's their process? Is the same materials any good or anything? So I will buy after I've bought 2 third-party kits myself, I kind of was turned off of third-party kits.
Sorry, what kits did you actually pick up?
So I bought the Dragon Moko Camphor and the Tall Geese 3.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them I was kind of disappointed in.
Really?
Yeah, the plastic itself was not. It was very brittle feeling. So when you get some Bandai kits, you'll get a certain plastic that doesn't feel very good.
Mm-hmm.
But then most of their kits are really like nice plastic, nice polystyrene and things like this. Well, this felt like the cheapest of the cheap polystyrene plastic that you could get. It felt like it would snap if I just pressed it.
Yikes. Okay, that sounds
so from that point on, I was kind of like, yeah, I'll never get full kits of third party people. Expansion parts like weapons or funnel sets or things like that, I'm more willing to get because it's a lot less cost in investment to something that's maybe like 1 or 2 runners, where if I were to buy a full third-party kit, I'm paying close to a Bandai price for not the best quality.
Gotcha. All right, and for everybody at home who doesn't really know what these third-party kits look like, you said Dragon Momoko Camphor, right?
Yep.
So this should be it. I think you can see it on your screen, right, Walter? And then the Tall Geese 3. So I think this is before Bandai released the Tall Geese 3. They released this guy. So this was a really hot item for a pretty good time, about like 5 years ago.
Yes, it was. And when you look at these pictures, it looks nice. But if you looked at it not painted, because these are all painted, done, someone's taken the time to actually fix a lot of the problems that the kit has itself. It's not good unless you paint it. I mean, certain Bandai kits will be like that, but for most part, most Bandai kits you can snap together and they'll look nice.
Right. So for anyone who's just tuning in, we actually have a number of topics that we're going to be covering in this podcast about third-party kits. So first off, we're going to be talking about what are they, right? What are they? How do we feel about it? Releases that people might know, so we can kind of get an idea of like what these third-party kits are, what we're personally excited about. Should you get them? Where to get them? Potential QC issues and builder level. So if any of these topics interest you or many more, then feel free to stick around. If not, leave some messages in the comments and we'll try to get back to you and maybe make another podcast about this. So so for me personally, I actually don't have any third-party kits. Not the ones that you're probably thinking of or people at home are probably thinking of. I don't have any Dragon Momokos. I don't have any Supernovas. But my friend, a very dear friend of mine, actually bought a accidental third-party kit for me back in like 2014, 2000, actually probably closer to like 2013 or 2012. Back when Chinatown, small box Gundam Wing 1/140 port scale bootleg kits were just rampant everywhere. And so he actually got me a not a Bandai Mercurius model kit, but a Bendy, BENDI.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember seeing those.
I remember building it and I was just livid the entire time because it felt like building Swedish fish. It was so weird. The color was so fluorescent, like you could tell this just like was not cured. It just didn't go through any QC. I'm pretty sure that I had some sort of toxin transfer over to my skin as I was touching this plastic, and it was very difficult to work with because those old Gundam Wing kits, although I love them to death, they don't always fit the right way.
Yeah.
So when you have a third-party kit that's based off of those molds, the error just compounds.
It's almost an exponential rise in problems that you'll see when you get a third-party kit that's based off of third-party molds or molds that they've tried to recreate.
Right. Exactly. So for me, I personally feel kind of the same way as you. There are two trains of thought that I have. Another dear friend of ours shared with me this philosophy, and I've really kind of carried it on with me, that people and companies should be entitled to their IP. And if they own this IP, then you should support them because they put on a lot of time and effort and money in order to create this IP. So if it's something as simple as like the Barbados, right? That is money for the research and development in order to make the design, not even the kit, just the design, the show, all the actors, all of the music, all the animation. We're not even, we didn't even touch animation yet. And then we're not even talking about the model kit yet either. That's all the plastic, that's all the R&D for the model kit to develop it. That's all these countless employees, that's all the shipping, that's all of that. That's what you're supporting. You're supporting that company because you believe in the creative art that they are producing. But then when you buy a third-party kit, none of the money goes to the original artist. You wouldn't buy a person on the street who sells fake Rolexes. So why would you go and buy a fake Gundam? So I mean, there's a lot of people who will say, well, because it's cheaper, right? But this is kind of like more of the ethical reason why you wouldn't want to do that. It's because someone put in a lot of time and effort and work. And for those of us who are in the workforce now and who are slaving over our jobs, we know how difficult it is to try to get just a single product out. And so imagine this multinational company that's trying to do the same thing. They deserve it. It's not even the big CEOs that deserve it. It's the people who slaved over these designs,
right?
All the hard
The 3D, the 3D designers, the mechanical engineers, the actual people that are sitting there. I mean, Bandai had done a short video showing the process of when they're putting Gunpla through at their factory, at the factory workers, the guys who are maintaining the molds, the guys who are checking all the machines that are doing the injection molding. They showed a video like that. I don't think it was in tune to like saying, hey, this is why you should support us. But it's like you said, there are so many people that are in this chain of Gunpla that when you do buy something third party that's not part of Bandai, not under their IP, basically just ripping their IP, you're taking away something at the end of the day from those people that have slaved to bring you a quality piece of merchandise. And there's a saying that we all know: you want cheap, you get cheap.
Yep.
That cheap does not mean quality. It just means you spent the least amount of money on something that costs the least amount, and in the end, its actual material is not going to be quality.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And I was going to point out as well that a lot of these craftsmen that actually create these prototypes that you oftentimes see at like I'm totally blanking on what these hobby shows are called now. But all these prototypes that you'll see of scans and stuff like that, if the craftsmen don't have the tool in order to create this prototype, they even create their own pool in order to get the job done. So there's an insane level of dedication to their craft that they're putting in. Not the CEOs. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about the marketing people. We're talking about the people who actually create these designs and prototypes and then have to put things into a digital rendering. That being said, I will also play the devil's advocate to my own argument. And this is kind of what I want to call the Crunchyroll argument. So it's mostly because of actually something that Giga had, I think it was Giga, had mentioned, but it was this concept that Crunchyroll as a company was creating a subpar product that it's a streaming platform. So people that don't know, Crunchyroll is a streaming platform that streams a lot of anime. They used to do things not legitimately. Then they became a legitimate company. Then they started going through the growing pains of knowing how much it costs to be a legitimate company, and so they cut back on their servers to make an inferior streaming platform compared to bootleggers. So you could go on like kissanime.com and they would have the latest anime, everything subbed, and all their stuff worked. They had a great streaming platform. And so there was an argument where if you live in a capitalistic society, you have the ability to vote with your wallet on what you believe is the superior product. And so that company can either, like Crunchyroll, can either grow, evolve, and change so they can attract your vote, or they can just die. And so you kind of see this a little bit with, for example, your Dragon Momoko example. Bandai had not released a Tall Geese 3, and then when people started spending money on this bootleg Dragon Momoko Tall Geese 3, they finally caved in and created a Tall Geese 3 Master Grade, a proper Tall Geese 3 Master Grade. And so, in effect, buying third-party kits might actually be beneficial because it does visually tell Bandai with money, hey, this is popular and we want more products like this. We don't like this other stuff you're creating. So please create more of this if you want more of our money. And I think that has worked actually a lot. So there was a huge trend where Dragon Momoko and third-party kits were creating lots of translucent, lots of clear effect parts all over the place. And then all of a sudden, Bandai started creating build fighters with and build and try. Was it not Build Fighters Try? And so you had stuff like the Star Build Gundam that had all those Plavsky wings and things like that. You had the Try Burning Gundam and the Burning Gundam that had all those like flame effect parts, stuff like that. And then you're even seeing things nowadays kind of trickle into the SD line where all the Son Goku Den kits have tons and tons and tons of clear and translucent effect parts. So Bandai's listening. Bandai's paying attention to all of these third-party purchases. But those two trains of thought really dictate how I personally feel about third-party. It's not, if people want to buy them, that's their deal. But you should know what you're doing when you're actually buying these third-party kits and what you're getting yourselves into.
There's one thing I'd like to say is that just to make sure we differentiate, there's a difference between a third-party kit and a garage kit. I just want to make sure I put that out there as well. Is that third-party kits are coming from an actual company or a pseudo company that's trying to make a snap-together full kit, where a garage kit is more of a resin parts that you'll put on something else that's already available. Or it's a full resin static. It's not a full model. It's a static figure of a Gundam. So there is that differentiation that I have to make sure people understand is that some third-party kits are not going to be great, but then you're going to see garage kits that are from a single individual or maybe a circle that they're putting out just a small number of these garage kits that they've actually gone through and like done 3D designs for, and they're meant just to be like a one shot done and over with. That it's still kind of against the IP range, but they're not full Gunpla. They're just a static figure or an armor set that you bolt on to like a Mark II to make it into something different.
Yeah. Maybe you want to turn it into like you get the Mark II and turn it into like a Barzam before the Barzam was a high grade, or you want to get the a really I think a pretty famous one was garage kits that they were made utilizing things like the Freedom 1.0 frame. That was a really big thing back in the day, or using the Impulse frame. But that's actually a very good point. We actually have a newcomer joining the fray, so let's get Brian up to speed.
Brian.
All right, and Brian's with us. So, hey Brian, how's your Thanksgiving?
What's up? Fun, coma-inducing.
I already asked it to Steven, but did you gain a few inches?
Oh, dude. 4, not up. Oh gosh, don't ask.
You had to put 2 more notches into the belt just to keep it so it wouldn't fall off.
Yep.
Did you work it all off already? I mean, it's been a week, 2 weeks.
Not at all.
No.
It takes more than a week to get rid of that, Steve. Man, come on. Not all of us have hypermetabolisms.
No, I had vegetables. That's why. So I barely ate any meat during Thanksgiving.
I had mostly meat.
Yeah. I had mostly meat. We didn't really have dessert either. That's really gonna help me.
Sweat's harder.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But yeah, so we're gonna backtrack just a little bit. Brian, how do you feel about third-party kits?
Well, I've never. Well, funny thing is that I have a story for this. Since we're jumping right into it. My dad, for one of my birthdays, was in the Philippines, and for Christmas, he was in the Philippines for Christmas, and by the time he got back for New Year's, and I want to say this was like 2013, 2014, he got me a knockoff of the full armor new. It's not a high new, but it's like a new, armored up new.
Oh, okay.
I think I brought it up one time.
It's a high weapon system. New.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I know exactly. And not a dig at the Philippines. So none of our viewers take this the wrong way. But that is a notorious area for getting bootleg kits and third-party kits. That is a notorious place.
That there and Hong Kong.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I mean, man, the Filipinos and Chinese people love their Gunpla. They love it so much they're willing to create bootleg versions of it. Keep that.
I think my dad even caught on that it was a knockoff. He was like, because he knew what Gundams are, and then on the box said Gundam, so he was like making fun of it.
So I saw a few of those at Frankensons, like way back. I saw those get, and I was looking at them. I'm like, where the hell did y'all get these?
Interesting.
But yeah, well, I haven't built it because it's kind of, it looks like a master grade, and it's kind of intimidating. Intimidating. Sorry, intimidating. But yeah, I was like, maybe I'll hold on to it. And up to this day, like I'm actually staring at it right now. I haven't built it.
I mean, I can build it for you.
I mean, if you wanna knock yourself out, I'm actually kind of curious on like if you think it would be good. How many have you actually built any? Coming into the conversation very late.
No, that's okay. So I've built a really old 1/144 scale bootleg Mercurius. It was a Bendy model, not a Bandai model. And I described it with the Walter. It was basically like building a Mercurius out of Swedish fish, like gummy candy. It was really bad. Oh, but now I remember I have another very good friend that kind of did the same thing. They had a bootleg master grade Strike Freedom Gundam that they also wanted built. So he asked me, Steven, do you want to build this for me? And I said, sure, why not? And when I had that Gundam in my possession, I built it with Sunny, and it was so bad because this was Sunny's first exposure to master grade that she almost gave up, immediately. And so when I started building it, I swear to you that I did not stop swearing the entire time I was building it. It was terrible. And I had to just chug on through because it was already half built. None of the parts wanted to stay together. It looked bad. Like really, really bad. Like faceplate had no edges. I might as well have just, recolored and repainted and refitted like everything on the suit. I might as well have glued the whole thing together because it wouldn't stand. But it was done, and kind of like what Walter was saying right before you jumped in, you get what you pay for. You buy cheap, you get cheap, right? Yeah, it was cheap. Let me tell you, like I saw the price on the box. I think it was like $20 or $30. That's really cheap for a Strike Freedom Master Grade. But that's just burning money, man.
I think it's like I was telling Steven, I had gotten a Momoko, a Dragon Momoko, Tallgeese and camphor, and I started feeling the plastic on it, and the cheap feeling polystyrene plastic, the one that feels like you barely put pressure on it, it's gonna just crumble in your hand. Yep.
Oh no.
It's
cheap polycap.
It's really bad. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. The polycaps. I can't believe I forgot about them. Were the worst part of the stupid thing. They were so bad. I'm not even talking about when you're posing or anything. I'm talking about just snipping them out of the stupid runner.
Oh jeez.
They don't feel right.
Ugh.
And I hated it, man. I hated it so much. But I think so. Here's another point for actually purchasing third-party kits. It makes you greatly appreciate what you have with Gunpla.
Yeah.
So much. When you look at these third-party kits, truthfully, this is actually like what model kit's supposed to be like. You're not supposed to get like a beautiful kit right out of the box, as soon as you're snapping it together. we're spoiled. We're completely spoiled with Gunpla because they look amazing with no effort put into it. But with these bootleg kits, you kind of have to return, and I guess we can kind of bleed into this topic about builder level. You kind of return back to this, skill level of, learning how to become like an actual model kit builder. Like you learn how to encounter these problems that you see in the molding process or in the construction. You learn how to deal with it. You learn about different ways to put things together, either with, plastic cement or super glue or just to make it work. And you realize that the model kit is purely that. It's not an action figure. It's not an action figure that you build. It's a model that is a kit. Yep. You're not supposed to touch it. It's supposed to look aesthetic. And so it can look ridiculously terrible on the inside, but as long as it looks good on the outside, that's really all that should matter. So yeah, so for people who have and it's a lot of people get scared when they float around this term builder level, like, oh, my builder level is not high. Really, all that builder level means is whether or not you have the tenacity and the persistence to see something through. So if you're a problem solver and you're okay being a problem solver and looking at, the issues of a model kit, step by step, and just proceeding one step at a time and chugging through, you'll have a beautiful model kit. Anyone can be a good model kit builder. The information's all out there. It's not very difficult. It's definitely not rocket science. Some people try to make it out to be rocket science. You're just snapping plastic and putting paint on it. There's nothing crazy about it. But as long as you have
PG unicorn.
No, even that, like even that is a piece of cake. Compared to the stuff we have to do for work, this is easy stuff.
Okay, true. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's not rocket science. It's not even science. It's supposed to be fun, right? So, and anybody can enjoy it at different levels, but just know that if your desire to like a kit that has been released, like say like the Tall Geese example that we were talking about, Brian, you weren't really there for that conversation, but Walter was talking about his Tall Geese. If you really like the Tall Geese and Bandai has not ever created Tall Geese and you love the Tall Geese so much that you just need it in physical form so that you can stare at it every single day and night, all the time, then you'll have that persistence in order to create that Tall Geese. But if you're just buying a third-party kit because, you kind of think it's cool, you have no attachment to it, and you're not really a strong problem solver, you're not very persistent about stuff, and you're very particular about how easy is this because I just want to chill with this for like a Sunday afternoon, third-party kits are not really going to be for you. Be completely honest. It has nothing to do with builder level. It has nothing to do with you as a person. It's just kind of the honest truth. You have to put a lot of work into these third-party kits in order for them to even stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, polycaps.
Freaking polycaps, man. Like none of them worked. Why do you think I keep all the old Bandai polycaps? Just for situations like these. If I just swap out all of them, I'll swap out all of them.
I think Bandai really mastered the polycap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that being said, I know the kind of builder you are, Brian. You're not ever gonna touch that kit.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Just sit there.
It is something worth like holding on to, just in case somebody else wants it. Because there are people out there that do want to build like.
So if you're looking for a person that's gonna build it and modify it, like they're gonna take a third-party kit because it's a third-party kit and they can build off of it, then yeah, there's gonna be a market for that. But for collection person, they're gonna go and get the Bandai version.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, because they know that there's a better quality associated with that brand than there is with the Supernova, Dragon Momoku, or Bendy brand of kits.
No, nobody collects Bendy brands. Trust me. I think it's garbage, man. But I would also argue that Gunpla is already a very niche hobby.
Yeah.
And to find somebody that's willing to put in the time and effort makes that an even more niche thing within the already niche hobby.
Very true. Yeah.
You can't capture as wide of an audience when you have a model kit that takes so much more effort to build. And so then you also have to find a person who actually likes the design of the kit that you're trying to sell.
Where are you at, new fans?
Yeah, exactly, right? So
Man.
So yeah, my point being, if you're looking to sell it, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to build it, you're also gonna have a hard time.
You may find, you may find that one diehard third party or nothing kit person out there who's looking for it. But that, again, like Steve said, Gunpla is already a niche topic, a niche hobby to be in. That once in a lifetime third party or nothing person is going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually a really interesting thing that I want to mention on this podcast, that anybody who buys a third-party kit or who's looking for a third-party kit on almost any of the Facebook forums, they usually start off with this sentence: I'm looking for a challenge or something different. Right?
That's true.
Essentially, okay, so this is a great analogy for people who don't actually buy model kits. It's basically a crack addict that needs something stronger. And so, yeah, I'm just going to say it. It's basically somebody who's already addicted to something and has just kind of tapped out, like, it's not as potent for them anymore. Mm-hmm. So they need something stronger. They need something that's challenging, something that really gives them life again. And that's truly what third-party kits do. And that's how niche this becomes. Because if you already have built so many Gunpla kits, and Gunpla is just vast, right? The official stuff is vast. Like, we're not even talking about Kotobukiya yet. Yeah. Once you've already tapped out on Gunpla stuff, then you start to see people who go into the more niche things. And actually there's a step in between. It's usually Gunpla, then Kotobukiya, then people dive into third-party kits.
So Gabe's almost there.
Gabe is there. Like,
he's there, but
he's like the mayor of there. Like, he has found his residence, he's found his home, and he's not leaving. And he's running for the Senate at this point. So
I wish he was here. Oh man, Gabe.
You'll hear this later.
Yeah.
Yes, he will. He'll have a, what's the word I'm looking for? A rebuttal for it later.
I'm sure. It'll be a week. He'll have time to create a rebuttal.
Rebuttal.
Yeah.
Explain yourself.
It's so funny that you say. I was gonna say that people that are putting those sentences into forums saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a challenge. Give me a third-party kit." They don't necessarily know that challenge is going to be good or not, because it could be the good kind of challenge where they actually do come out with a decent product at the very end that they've had to put a lot of their building skills into, or it's a challenge of not throwing themselves up against the wall with how bad of a kit it is. So they're really in for a true sense of what kind of challenge do I make this, a good one or I'm going to jump out a window because I can't get this damn thing to stand, even with the amount of polycaps and glue I put into it.
Yeah. So here's something that we're not even diving into, and it's the price. Most people don't know this, but because we're talking about such a niche audience, there's only X number of kits that are being produced. Say like a handful, about 500. And that's the company having not as many resources in order to create it, but they're also trying to stay pretty covert because they're dodging like a lot of Bandai's IPs.
Yeah.
In order to
they don't want to get taken down by the police.
Right. And that's been a thing. Like Hong Kong police have raided several third-party places. That's why Dragon Momoko doesn't exist. I think this happened like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But in order to recoup their losses, they have to charge and they have to make these kits a little bit more expensive. And so a lot of people who are trying to see these kits for a good challenge, they'll look at the cheaper ones, they'll burn money just wasting it. So that you buy a $20 bootleg master grade of, like, say, I know there's one on Gundam Central right now of the MG Rezil Type C. You buy a $30 master grade, turns out it's not as good as you might want it to be, and so you wasted your $30 there. Then you look at a Supernova of the Nataku, the blue and white version that's coming out, and they say, oh, that looks really good, but then they see the price point of it being about $80. And if all you wanted was a Gundam with a dragon hand, you could just shell out $40 for a Shenlong. Or you could get 2 Shenlongs for the same price, slap the thing together, but you don't have to put as much work into your model kit. So it's something to really think about. Are you looking around to see if you have the Supernova, Walter?
No, I was looking. I was looking at the Ultron. I thought I had the Endless Waltz. Maybe that is. I can't remember.
Right.
I'd have to get up and see which one it is. It's the P Bandai. It's the P Bandai.
You have I think you have the Longfa one, the one with the sword. Yeah. So
yeah, you're right.
See, I know your inventory. I'm not even in Japan.
Damn, you're good.
Just when it comes to this stuff, everything else in my life, I'm pretty incompetent. So.
Damn, that's a deep stab against yourself.
That's okay. Deep cuts, right? Doesn't kill me, makes me stronger. we're just.
Well, that Mercurius sure as hell did make you stronger, apparently.
Yeah. But all right. So we pretty much covered most of the topics, unless there's something else you guys want to talk about. We did not cover things like what kits we're kind of excited about, or like where to purchase it. So where other than flying to the Philippines or Hong Kong, where do you guys buy your third-party kits, or where have you seen places that you can buy third-party
So
kits?
the places I've bought third-party kits, and again, this is not a dig at this place, but Samuel Decal, they seem to be the spot. But they also do other good things. So they're not only just third-party kits. They will give you garage kit parts, weapons parts, decals. He's a great guy, and he deals in third party. So he is essentially like a first-party source for third party, I would say.
Okay, so I guess we need to establish this. So when we talk about third-party stuff, we're not just talking about third-party kits. Kind of like what Walter is saying, we're also talking about aftermarket decals. We're also talking about other weapons packs that you might not be able to get. So one really big thing that people were like super excited for was a 1/100 scale Barbados mace, or mace-chan, or whatever the internet calls it. So that was like a huge thing that people really wanted to get for a super, super, super long time. There were other things like the a 1/100 scale sniper rifle for the Zaku 2 that was shown in the Origin that people were really excited about as well. And in talking about decals, there's a lot of sticker decals that are put into master grades that just don't have water slide transfer counterparts officially by Bandai. And so you'll see these third-party aftermarket people create these water slide copies of these stickers. And we're not even talking about things like garage kits, where it's sometimes not just different armor pieces you can kind of put on. So for example, like the Mark II having Barzan parts, but it can also be things like metal etched thruster parts, things for like the Master Grade Sazabi, things for like the Red Frame Astray, things for like the Perfect Grade Unicorn, and other things like that. So on the off chance that people are watching this and they have no idea what we're talking about when we're talking about third-party kits. But anyway, sorry for the side tangent. Brian, where do you buy or where have you heard or buy your third-party kits?
Well, I haven't seen any recently, but back in the day, I remember like stores like even comics and stuff like ran into like they probably bought these third-party kits without even knowing they were third-party kits. I remember seeing them right on the shelves.
Yikes! Okay.
Ooh.
This
is like back in the day, though.
It's like I brought up the fact. I think it was Toy Arena in Frankensons.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah, they had the exact kit Brian was talking about. That Gundam. They had 2 Gundam kits in there. I'm like, where'd you guys get these from? And they're like, yeah, we just bought them off of some random lister, and we put them into our stock. I'm like, okay, cool.
And granted, this is like probably a time before Bandai even like reached out to its like retailers, you know.
Yeah,
had better context. So especially like back in the day, it's just like, oh, Gundam's a big thing and we don't have anything here, so we'll just get whatever we can, kind of thing.
Get something that says something remote to Gundam. Even if it's misspelled, like, oh, it's it's just a Japanese product, you know, like they misspell things all the time.
It goes back to that sense is the American market still isn't seen as it's now seen more, but at the time the American market was not seen as a prime market yet. So if a third party kit got here and Bandai wasn't communicating with the distributor or the places that the distributor was taking their stock to, I mean, there was no control of saying if they had third party kits or not. If it was in the Asian area where their prime market is, they've been a lot more controlling of what is sold and got in certain areas. So yeah, we kind of were the Wild West for things. I mean, we got a ton of third-party kits. Oh shit!
Especially those. Especially like the memes online where like you see like those South American like pictures of toys, and like it'll say Transformer. But then it's really a Gundam inside.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
It's a big room. We have those. We had those types of knockoffs too. And maybe even at the swap meet. If you
dude.
Swap meets.
Oh, man. Those were the days.
See, I never really went to swap meets in order to get my Gundam stuff. I would usually buy them at
missing out, man. That's a good place.
Well, back where I lived, the only place where you can get Gundam products was Target, Toys R Us, right? No, we would actually have to drive down to Chinatown, and when we go to Chinatown, we would go to this very particular specialty shop, New Type Station, that my parents were friends with the owners, and they had changed their inventory from Hello Kitty and Sanrio products over to anime products, and they had split their store. So they still sold stationery at one of their stores, and then the other stores was more anime product based because their son was really into anime stuff. So you'd see stuff like Pokemon, you'd see Dragon Ball Z, and you'd see Gundam. Nowadays, the Gundam market is so huge that most people, when they go into the LA area, and you'll see a lot of people talk about it here in the San Diego group, when they go to Neo Type Station, they go there specifically for Gundam now. So that's actually where I bought, my very first Gundams, back when I was like, like 8, 9 years old. But they always tended to be the official ones. I never really saw a bootleg there in that store ever since I was growing up. It would always be like those random parts that you kind of see like on the outskirts of some of the shops and stores are kind of selling knickknacks, and you'd see like a random Gundam thing here or there. That's when you would find the bootlegs. But I mean that's for me. I never went to swap meets.
Oh, that was just my childhood.
Those are fun times. Yeah, that's just swap meets are fun times, man. You don't know what you're gonna find there. You go from one stall to the next.
I started doing it after I got into college when I actually had like disposable income, and that's super fun, right? Because I was buying a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah.
So that's another Yu-Gi-Oh cards, lots of trading cards. I wouldn't see a lot of Gundam stuff, but man, my TCG collection boomed.
Most definitely. So at least 2 or 3 TCG. Boots. Yep.
But yeah, so in terms of other things we have not mentioned for places where you could buy them other than Samuel Decal, Philippines, swap meets, things like that. eBay is a huge place where you can go and buy third-party kits, third-party decals, weapons parts, add-on parts and stuff like that. You can find tons over there, and because of eBay's algorithm, it'll just keep suggesting part after part after part after part. But another big place that I tend to go to would be Gundam Central. So I oftentimes hear a YouTuber, Prime92, that would buy her third-party kits from Gundam Central. And so one day I decided to check them out. They actually have a pretty nice infrastructure on their website where they break down, each company that sells things from Dragon Moko to Supernova to I don't remember any of the other ones. There's one that just they sell like bootleg like metal builds, like Jigokins essentially, but they don't call them Gundams. So people are in the market for. I remember there was this one really odd Strike Gundam metal build that a third-party company had created. It wasn't even in scale with any of the other products that Bandai had created. It was like a 1/72nd scale Gundam. I mean, like you see the bus, right? But this was like a full-blown LED-ified Strike Gundam metal build before, metal build Strike Gundams had come out. And so people would buy it and they'd be like, this is a really cool figure on its own, but it doesn't match anything scale-wise in my collection.
Oh, it's so out of place.
Yeah, it's super out of place because it's just shy of being like a perfect grade, but it's too big to be a master grade. It was really, really, really odd. But you'll find tons of really interesting things on there, on Gundam Central and on eBay. What's up?
One thing I wanted to say is there's also a site called GK Gundam Kits. They mainly do garage kits. So this isn't like a third-party set, but they do what I was explaining earlier. You take a frame from an official, like a Mark II 1.5 or something like that, and you'll bolt on these resin pieces. They also do full like garage kits as well. So when you brought up the 148 or 172, they have a group called G Systems that does like 148 scale Gundams, and these things are they're massive. It's like what? It's like the 144 Dendrobian, right? The one that everyone wants to get, the Dendrobian kit. It's a high grade. These are that size, but they're like full stupid on what goes into them.
Geez.
So I'm looking at it on my my other computer right now, and I think the first kit that I remember for G System was the Kshatriya.
Oh God, yeah.
Super giant Kshatriya that everyone was freaking out over.
It's ridiculous. There's just so much that goes into these G System kits that it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Pardon my language, but damn.
Yeah. That and the GP0, the Stardust memory suits. For some reason, they love. There's somebody that works with G System that just loves Stardust memory because they have GP0 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure they're gonna create like a Dendrobium at some point. Like it's nuts. It's
I mean they've done the
EX too, Gabura Kshatriya.
Yeah. They've also done your favorite, the Penelope.
That's fair. I mean, I kind of like it. Oh my gosh, they did the Faz. They did Faz. I love the Faz actually. I was actually talking about. We could talk about this like on some other podcast, but I made this Insta buy list today. Like if Bandai creates these kits, I'm automatically buying them. One of them, the Faz. The Faz is pretty cool. Like I really like the full armor.
They did make a Faz.
Not real grade though.
Oh, you're talking about real grades.
Okay, needs to be my scale.
You're right.
Yeah.
But forgot.
I had eyed that master grade, the old master grade. Like I was already a huge fan of. I think it's just the bulk and the colors. The color is just like that's a beautiful color scheme. And then when they created the Katoki one, I was like, oh man, I really want to get this, but it's not going to fit in like anything that I own. Like not a single thing that I own is this gonna work.
Mine's in storage.
Yours, okay.
It's in storage. Cool, it's like it is. It's like, oh my god. Gun. Yeah. It's the Faz, and I want to get the Deep Strike next because I really like the Deep Strike.
Okay. You know, or what you can do, because you know, they had a team, right?
Mm-hmm. Get 3 Fazes.
Yeah, you just get 3 Fazes.
Jeez. Oof.
Right? Like we could do it. You could do that. That's easy.
It's freaking huge.
There's different armaments too. Like you can have one with just like double barrel beam rifle. You can have one with a giant mega launcher, and there's like another giant mega launcher that can attach.
Oh god.
Wouldn't it look cool though? Okay, like that's actually another. Like I do like those team like setups. It was because I'm playing GBGW like way too much. But yeah, those 3-man teams.
Well, it's just like the concept of the Black TriStar. I mean, we've gone from third-party kits to now like team stuff, but the Black TriStars, that's a great setup. You got three Zakus or 3 Doms or whatever a Black TriStar member is pilot. You put it in a team, it's just all of a sudden it's a whole different level of that specific model.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of what I was thinking about for the Serpent. You know, I have a single Serpent, a 1/100 scale Serpent custom, and I was thinking, what am I going to pair this with? Because I bought this long time ago. You know, back when you know I could only buy like one. Yeah, I could only buy like one Gundam a year. So that was my Christmas present that my parents got me from Neo Type Station. You know, back when I was like 12, 11, I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But anyway, but now that I have it, I think it still looks good. Like it doesn't articulate well, but if it's just standing there, it looks fine. But it looks so out of place with all my smaller kits. You know, I don't have any endless waltz stuff unless you consider the stupid high resolution model that's, you know, underneath my bed, you know, broken to pieces because stupid legs don't want to stay together. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to really pair with the Serpent. But if I get 2 more Serpents, then it's a team, and then it looks really good. And these Serpents are only like $20. Mm-hmm. I can buy 2 of them for the price of an endless waltz kit. If I get 1 endless waltz kit, then either Gabe or Stanley or Sonny is going to tell me, well, now you have to get the whole collection. That's 4 more kits I have to buy, and they're like, well, you might as well get the upgrade, so then I have to buy 5 more kits after that.
Oh, jeez.
So I might as well just, you know, nip that out of the bud and just buy 2 Serpents instead of having to buy, you know, 10 Master Grades. See, I'm thinking ahead, man. You know, gotta plan these things. Not made of money anymore.
I wish you would just go through with your army of Leos, man. Just do your army of Leos.
So they did release a set of Leos, so I mean that would be an easy one-time buy.
You know, so the thing is, I actually don't want the army of Leos. It's actually just a running gag between me and Sonny, because Sonny really likes that scene from Gundam Wing Abridged where all the Leos like pop up and you're like, got you. Got you. Oh wait. Got you. Yeah, she just thought that was like the funniest and cutest thing, and I actually agree with her. I thought that was really cool, and it gave me a new perspective on Leos. And so I was like, oh, that'd be pretty cool to just have like a bunch of them, and then, you know, my diorama would just be thought bubbles, you know, just pinned into the model kit that just say, got you.
That'd be amazing.
Right. But I actually have a number of projects that I actually kind of want to work on. So until I can complete these projects, I'm not going to really buy anything else. Yeah. So there is another topic. So I think we're pretty much going to wrap up this video. But there is another topic that I did want to talk about because I've spent up so much of my time on YouTube. I thought a really cool topic for a podcast would be to talk about the different Gundam YouTubers that are out there. I know that there's some people that think like, oh, the only Gundam YouTubers are like Zacharelius and Mechagoatsu. But I swear to you not that there are so many other Gundam YouTubers that are out there that produce top quality content, not just about the model kit stuff, but about lore, about other products, about like different modeling techniques and things like that, that you can do kind of on a budget. And so that's kind of leading to like one of the projects I kind of want to work on is that there's this guy that's located in Japan, and he creates dioramas, really good dioramas, but under the pretext that you are a husband whose wife is hawkishly looking at your wallet and your bank account, and so you have to build things cheap, or you're like just starting out and you don't really have a lot of funds. And so everything that he uses to build these dioramas that look beautiful, by the way, they're like, they're Gundam, world championship level. They are all built from stuff at the dollar store. And so there's this one diorama that he has of this scene of Asuka and the Ava Unit 2. And he uses the real grade of the Ava unit, where, everybody's watched Evangelion. So you know that one scene where she's holding up the battleship?
Oh, yes.
And like, it rains like, missiles or something like that. And like you see like these half-broken like battleships like all over the place. He recreates that scene.
Oh my God.
It looks so good. And I was thinking, okay, well,
that's the great thing. So the dollar store, the Daiso in Japan, you can get diorama stuff on the cheap. I mean, you can get like poplar like slats like for wood for like $1 that would normally cost you like $3 at like the home store.
Yeah,
it's great. The Daiso, again, I cannot stress enough, Daiso is amazing.
Right.
It is great for modelers.
I really want to try that. Like, I think that looks amazing and super great. Actually, and I just saw another video that he pumped out where he created a diorama of the Sazabi, the Master Grade Sazabi with Master Grade Jagan, and he created a space debris, like colony space debris. And a lot of the stuff that he was using is all stuff that you can probably get on the cheap, and it looks really amazing. I mean, I already have the Master Grade Sazabi, so if I just want to paint it the same way that he does, that's easy. And then if I want to make space debris, it's going to cost me like, what, $40. I'd say that's kind of worth it. And then if I really, really want to, I can put a beat up Jagan in the background like he did. So yeah, there's that kind of stuff that I really want to work on first. So to tie this back into the original part of the podcast, there's probably no way I'm going to be buying a third-party kit anytime soon, because there's just so many other things that are so exciting to work on that I'd rather throw my eggs into those baskets instead of, a wobbly bootleg Strike Freedom.
Yeah, I'll probably just continue to invest in small scale garage parts, weapons, sets, expansion sets, nothing full blown, but yeah, third party kits are definitely not for me.
Yeah. Actually, Walter, have you built any of your garage kits? Sorry to cut you off, Brian.
So the garage kits, no, because they take a lot of time, because you have to do a lot of prep work, a lot of sanding, a lot of figuring out where you're going to put your pins, because they're not just something you can glue together, because resin isn't an easy thing to glue with. You have to put metal pins in to actually hold it stable while the glue sets. So it's a challenge. And then you have to paint them, because they're either white, tan, or gray. Those are your colors for most resins. So you have to, it's an investment. And most of the time the 3 resin kits I've gotten they're all figures, they're all Hatsune Miku. So they will sit there until I've gotten a proper paint space put together, and then I can sit there and then with a respirator on, sand for days and clean them all up, and then start pinning, gluing, and then masking the paint. So yeah, it's a job.
investment.
It's a labor of love, definitely.
Yes.
But yeah, I think I'm all tapped out for this section of the podcast. How about you guys?
Yeah.
All right.
Get to there. That's pretty good.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Brian and Walter, for joining me on this edition of Gundam Podcast. And then you can see Sunny in the background. So
cameo appearance by Sunny.
Yes. But thank you everybody for joining us this week, and we'll catch everybody next time.
Later.
Thanks.